Season 1 has been announced for Diablo 4, and I wanted to make a video going over some of the major mechanics of the season, as well as a couple features that I would really love to see added to the game. Now, I'm under no delusion. I don't think the Blizzard devs are going to be able to change everything because they saw my video, but I am absolutely hoping that some of these features are going to be included in the season because this will make the season like 100 times better for me, and I'll talk about it when we get there. First off, let's just go over the main season mechanic. Season 1 is Season of the Malignants. What we'll be doing in this season is collecting Malignant Hearts from Malignant monsters, which are basically just like amped up elite mobs, nothing too special. But these Malignant Hearts are going to act as legendary gems that you'll be able to put into your rings and amulets, so your jewelry instead of a gem. And they'll provide very powerful, sometimes build-defining or game-breaking powers that are really going to take your character to like exponentially higher levels. Now, they haven't announced all of the Malignant Hearts yet, but they have shown us an example of one right here. There's a couple other examples, but I think this is the most interesting one. And every 20 kills, it will cycle through a Malignant bonus. You'll either get 22% attack speed. Core and basic skills have a 17% chance to fully restore your primary resource, or every 19 seconds you gain a barrier absorbing 88 damage. Now, the attack speed buff and the barrier are pretty underwhelming, don't get me wrong, but I think that core effect of you have 17% chance to fully restore your primary resource is pretty damn broken, and that can actually enable a lot of builds that might suffer from resource generation or always being resource starved. It's also good to know that you get these pretty early, so even in leveling, you're going to feel a massive power level increase from these Malignant Hearts, and it's going to be a lot of fun playing around and experimenting with new builds once we have all 32 of them announced to really open up a lot more options than the game has right now. And I'm really excited for that. It's like new toys to play with. So my biggest issue here is that Malignant Hearts are split into 3 categories: vicious, devious, and brutal. And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to call it like red, green, and blue. Now, red, green, and blue Malignant Hearts can only go into the appropriate socket. So every single time that you get a jewelry piece, so your amulet or your ring, it will either have a red, blue, or a green socket, even if you put that socket in from the jeweler. So if you go to the jeweler, you add a socket, it's going to randomly roll red, blue, or green. So my issue with this system is that rings and amulets are already some of the most competitive pieces of gear in the entire game. Getting a ring with crit chance, crit damage, vulnerable damage, and resource generation is pretty damn difficult. And now we're adding another layer of RNG where you basically want to get the correct socket that your build is going to need for the Malignant Hearts. So for example, let's say you have a build that's going to run red, blue, and green, but you got red, red, and blue, right? One of those reds needs to be a green, and if you got a really good ring that has that, well, now it's kind of trash because the Malignant Hearts is the main mechanic of the game. Again, these are going to be build-defining, game-breaking buffs. So you're going to want to be playing around them, not playing around getting a perfect ring. Same thing with the amulet. There's so many. There's like 100 different affixes you can get on an amulet. And I really worry that it's going to feel very bad if you, let's say you get an amulet that has all the things you need, but it rolled the wrong socket, so you're not going to be able to put it in. In addition, this is also true for uniques. So let's say you're a necromancer that wants to play with like a minion build and you get the Ring of Mendeln, but then it rolls the wrong socket for like what you wanted in your build. It's going to be it's going to be really difficult to go and try to redo it because you also can't pull out any gems. So if you had like a red and a blue one already socketed, but you wanted a green one for your third build, and again, I don't know what builds are going to use what things. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. It could be 3 reds, for example. Now that Ring of Mendeln is like kind of useless, or you're going to have to completely adjust what Malignant Hearts you want to run. Now, there are Wrathful Hearts, which can fit into any Malignant socket. These are kind of like Omni Gems that can go into red, green, or blue. But the Blizzard devs have specifically said that these aren't intended to be like the absolute best in the game, and you're probably not going to be running more than one of these. The Wrathful Hearts really just benefit off the flexibility, but that doesn't solve the problem of actually getting a ring you want with the correct socket. And so the super easy fix here that I would love to see is adding some way to re-roll the socket or to forge it into the correct color. That way, if you do get the perfect amulet, you do get like all the stats that you want on it, but it rolls the incorrect color for what your build requires, you'll have some way to actually either re-roll that or just craft it into the right one. And I don't care if it's like 100 Forgotten Souls and 100 Baleful Fragments, and it could be anything. It could be a huge, huge cost to re-roll it. I just want to see some way to have some deterministic progress in the game so that once you get that insane item, you can actually re-roll it, and it's not just instantly garbage if it's not the correct color that you need. Next up, let's talk about Varshan the Consumed, the newest boss battle entering Diablo 4. Now, the devs have been pretty silent on this. It seemed like they didn't really want to give a lot of information about the new boss yet. However, my guess is that it seems like this is going to be like the story boss. Basically, the new season has like a whole story attached to it. And I think that at the end of the quest line, you'll probably fight Varshan. That's what it seems like to me, kind of like an act boss in the campaign. And that's fine. I think that's totally cool that a lot of people will be able to experience the boss and he's tied into the whole story of like the malignant monsters. However, it would be really great to see Varshan the Consumed also given level 100 or like a level 90 version or something. Basically, just like Echo of Lilith, a pinnacle boss version for you to fight at endgame on top of the story quest line. Basically, having some optional hard mode for people to engage with if they want to, and then the story modes that everybody can experience and have fun killing the new boss. And not only would this be really cool to have more bossing content, something I've advocated for quite a bit, and I think it will increase build diversity because you'll see more people gravitating towards like a single target build so that they can kill bosses easier. I think that this would also give me a lot of optimism for seasons moving forward if they were willing to throw out a new uber pinnacle boss every single season. And over time, in 2 years, we'll have like 8 different bosses to fight at max level, which sounds really awesome. And I'm really excited for that. Especially if they're different levels of difficulty, it'll feel pretty good progressing to them. Even if right now there's not a lot of incentive to actually go and do the hardest bosses, I think just adding more bosses in general would kind of move in that direction where people are gonna, enjoy doing bosses, and then over time they can actually add like good loot for you to farm those specific bosses. It would be even cooler if those specific bosses actually dropped like different uniques that you could target farm for. Like you kill this boss, it drops this unique, and you can go and kill that boss over and over again until you get it. But in general, I'm super excited for this. I love boss content. I think this is great. Uber Lilith's actually a lot of fun. She's just kind of way too hard. So I hope that we have like a slightly easier version, but that still remains like pinnacle content, not just something that you blow over in the campaign. Finally, I wanted to talk about the Scroll of Amnesia. This is a new item which provides a free skill tree and Paragon board reset, so basically a full reset to your character. And you unlock this through the seasonal journey. It's a guaranteed reward in the seasonal journey, which everybody has access to. It's not a paid thing. You'll all have access to it. And I love this idea because for me, this season is all about playing around with new builds, giving you more options to play around with your character, experiment with some new options. There's going to be a huge balance patch, which is really going to change the face of the game and probably open up a lot more builds than what people have been, kind of playing and theory crafting for months before the game even came out. So the Scroll of Amnesia is a perfect item for this. It's giving you that full reset. However, the wording of this worries me a little bit because it seems like you're only getting one for the whole season. So you do the seasonal journey and you got one free reset. That is not that good. I wish that this was an item that was actually added as a rare drop. Perhaps once you unlock this through the seasonal journey, now all monsters around Sanctuary can start dropping it as like a rare item, and maybe every few hours or so you'll find one. I think this would preserve a really healthy balance between making the game open for more builds that you can experiment with and play around with, but also keeping some restrictions so people aren't just swapping builds every single time they go to a new dungeon with absolutely no forethought. As long as you have only one drop every few hours, I think people will get a pretty healthy supply of them that they can use without just making it like essentially free. I'd hate to see so much potential of this season in terms of playing around with all the new Malignant Hearts and trying out some really crazy builds that you're never going to be able to play again with. I'd hate to see that all kind of thrown away because you only get one reset with the Scroll of Amnesia, and then after that you have to do like the whole swap, which is a kind of a whole nother story that they should probably work on. So those are all the things I wanted to talk about in this video. Again, I'm really excited for season 1, and I might make a longer video going over kind of what I see in the video, what I would like to change, and some expectations that I have for future seasons. But I think that the Malignant Hearts are going to be a really good way to allow you to experiment with it. I just hope that they actually use that to push the game forward and give you more options to experiment with and more content to do. Thanks again for watching. Good luck in season 1. Make sure you do your statues. Go explore the map because that's all going to carry over. I guess I really wish that all Renown carried over as well, but I don't think we're getting that this season. And have a wonderful rest of your day.